A lot of you guys have been asking me to set up a store page where you can browse DiplexHeated merchandise, so I have. The link in the description takes you there. As always, thank you so much for leaving a like and a comment on the video. Your support really helps me out. Let's start the video. Hey, what's up guys, Diplex here again. Welcome back to RobZ Realism mod. Today we're doing part 5 of our Battle of Berlin miniseries. I can tell you right now that there's going to be another part of this series until we wrap it all up. It's going to be part 2 of this actual battle and on this map, but it's going to be overall part 6. It'll either be uploaded tonight or tomorrow. It depends on how long time it takes to make it. And I thought I'd quickly explain why I'm splitting this battle into 2 parts. A lot of people have been having issues with me, not a lot, but you know, it's the few that are heard the most. Isn't that how it goes? It's that loud minority on YouTube. God. Anyway, the reason why I'm splitting this battle up into 2 parts, and the reason why I've been splitting the one map and one battle that we covered from Monday till Thursday into 4 parts is pretty simple. There's 5 reasons, 5 really good reasons that I wish you can understand. I guess I haven't explained it before, so to some simpleton, it's obviously hard to grasp. The majority of you out there don't seem to have an issue, so I figured you're clever and mature enough to understand that I have my reasons. 1. I cannot do several scripts further into the actual battle. Once I click start and once the units start shooting at each other, I cannot add more scripts. How would I have been able to simulate several tank assaults, the Russian mass charge, and more if I did not split it up into several videos? Otherwise, it would have just been one whole video with one setting, with one environment, with one batch of troops. Otherwise, I'd have to involve the editor more. I'd have to show you the editor interface. I'd have to sit there and spawn in troops and edit them around and change their gear and change their allegiance and all that stuff. That's silly, and it ruins the cinematic experience. 2, as I said, I can change the environment around. I can change the time of day. 3, it has a great impact on performance. I mean, I'm running this map right now in 20 frames per second. It's going to get lower and slower as the battle starts. But listen, we're doing part 6 and, well, part 2 of this battle tomorrow. That's what we're going to be looking at. This here is the actual open surface that's going to be filled with buildings, troops, and all kinds of battle assets for the next part. If I had this all visible, and if I had hundreds of German troops and tanks covering this area too, I'd have to increase the Soviet attacking force by 2 or 3 times. And it would have just completely taken a dump on my computer. I mean, not to mention all the buildings and all the detail. This is an extremely detailed map. It wouldn't be able to handle it. It just wouldn't have been able to. So that is why I split my videos up into several parts. Here, let's look into the German positions of this map. And sorry for that rant, but it had to be said because it's getting quite annoying. We've got some Germans down here. We're going to open up the editor. The Germans in the front line here are going to be the ones to brace the Russians' assault at the first stage. Plenty of troops around the buildings here. We might as well enable the HUD here so we can actually see. Plenty of blue outlines here, which means there are German troops behind the cover. We've got more troops along the street here. It's a fairly irregular formation. We've got more trenches back here with German troops, some MG42 gunners. This is just mainly infantry with Panzerfausts and Panzerschrecks and AT grenades and stuff like that. Some serious infantry weaponry too. They're scattered along the ruins and on the streets, and they're going to be kind of receiving the Russian attack at its hardest time and when it's the most lethal. They're also not constricted to one, or restricted rather, to one position. They can move around, so I expect them to retreat. Second and final layer of defense on this map, and this part of the map rather, will be around the bridges. There are 2 main bridges here that need to be crossed by the Russians. They can also cross down on the railway tracks, but I don't expect them to. We have a Panther here and more infantry, followed up by some mortars, a Pak 40, more infantry, Panzerschrecks, MG42s. We've got a whole section of infantry down here in the center, occupied buildings, occupied apartment buildings here. We've got more mortars and another Pak back here, more MG42s. We've got some good defenses. We have a Stug on the the bridge itself that's going to be holding it down quite nicely. We have more troops back here, more defenses, another pack, another mortar. So once the Russians get here, I'm not saying that the Russians need to destroy every single German that's covering behind these bridges, but once the Russians have captured both bridges and gotten troops over on the other side, we will be wrapping up the battle, because then we're going to be sort of pulling the final German assets back. We're going to be reconstructing this map. We're going to be filling it out with more troops, and we're going to be deploying the Russians here, and we're going to be deleting everything that you can see right now just to save on performance, and then we're going to wrap up this series with part 6 and the final battle for what is going to be a pretty awesome city area over here with some cool parliamentary buildings and stuff like that that the Germans had, and will really simulate the fall of Berlin. So let's enjoy the battle, and let's have a good Friday afternoon here, all right? And let's look forward to part 6 coming out tomorrow. So we're going to be witnessing the first assault here on this side. The Germans are ready to receive the Russians, and they're coming in force. Got more troops coming down the main street here too. I'm going to disable the outlining there. The first German defense line is definitely going to be taking some serious fire from the attacking Russians. Lots of infantry. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of Russian soldiers, supported by armor of different types. That looks fantastic. We've got the Russians attacking. On the right side of the map, they're getting some good progress in. We've got lots of infantry moving in through the streets. So far, I feel that the Russians have been pretty successful in gaining lots of ground early on. That's nice to see. Germans are still holding some positions quite well, though. Russian infantry and tanks have completely overwhelmed the trench position here, but we'll find out how many casualties they dealt to the Russians by the end of the actual fight. That's great. Let's look towards the center here, where some interesting things will be happening. If we look at the minimap, we can see the Russian swarm on the left side there in red, and the Germans in green slowly retreating to the right. I think I'm going to amp up the size here so that once we do pull up the HUD, we can actually look at how it's looking. So, the middle bridge is currently the thing that's going to be coming under most fire. Got Russians trying to enter down into the train station down here. We got German soldiers retreating. So basically all the German soldiers on the right side and south side of the railway tracks here have pretty much by now retreated to the bridge and across the railway tracks. I'm going to go ahead and enable this tank and give it the ability to turn around, because it seems like it doesn't have the ability to do so now, and realistically, of course, it would be able to in order to engage enemy troops. Also, looking over here, we have a pretty good position on this side, a Panther, and lots of infantry that's going to be able to cover the eastern side here. But it looks like the main Russian assault is focusing on the center right now. Lots of infantry. We've got Russian tanks down here. This one seems to have driven down into a trench, which is rather unfortunate. But I hear more tanks in the distance that are going to be coming in. It sometimes takes a while for the AI to get used to this city environment and to Ooh, there we go. One of the bell towers. or one of the actually apartment building towers was hit there on the side. And the Stug took fire from a tank back there. I believe that's a KV-85. KV-85s were later replaced by the IS series, and they had their production stopped in, I believe, 1943 or 1944. The reason why I'm using a KV-85 instead of an IS-1 or 2 here in the final Battle of Berlin is because they kind of don't work with the mod. The machine gunner animation is really messed up. So until that's fixed, we'll have to run with what we can. We have some more tanks running down into the... Oh, this is cool. We've got a T-34 that is eager to break it down here. We've got a German soldier with a Panzerfaust. I wonder if he's going to pull it out to destroy the enemy tank. That is really cool. Let's look at the minimap again. We've got German mortars supporting the front line right now. Boom. And we've got a PaK-40 back here that I think it's going to have its say against the Russian armor if it spots it again. It's definitely not gonna let it pass through. Lots of Russian infantry nearby. Got more troops on this side of the wall. Oh, taking mortar fire and trying to pin the Russians on the other side. Grenades and other things are being thrown between German defenders on the bridge. This tank is down, and we've got more Russians assaulting up it. That's really cool. There's a huge amount of Russian troops right here by this building. I believe we've got ourselves a little issue where I believe a German soldier is actually hidden. And I am going to do something for the greater good, which is simply delete him, which I did, so that we can unlock the potential of the Russian swarm. We don't want the AI to be stuck there by one soldier that can't be killed. So now that that's been fixed, they're going to be spreading out. And there is more insanity going on around here. We've got one of the Russian tanks. I wonder if it's shot at him, or if it's going to stay here. Look at all that blood on the ground. That German soldier has been doing very well. He lost one of his comrades nearby. I think he's holding a hand grenade now. I wonder if he's going to throw it. This is a really nice battle. More German troops retreating back here. They're running down from this side. They're going to cross the tracks. We've got some troops down here too. Weiter geht's! I don't think they know what to do yet, but I think they're going to be pulling up. Yep, they're going to be running up. They're going to be receiving some cover from some Kameraden. Oh man, this is good gameplay. This gets me thrilled to see this kind of scenery. Russian infantry's coming up on the bridge. More German infantry down below is ready to receive the Russian infantry. How's it looking right now on the minimap? We've got... Ooh, I believe that was a Panzerfaust. Or Panzerschreck. Lots of Russian infantry around here. Ura, tavarish! I'm going to see if I can get us a cool little screenshot. Just for memory's sake. I think we'll hold off with that for a while. We've got more Russians coming down. It looks like they're going to try and cross over here. We're taking so much fire. Most of the German defenders here in the center have died. So that's going to open up for a pretty nice assault from the Russians if they choose to cross the railway bridge. Over on the left side, Panther is still fairly unharmed. And the Germans holding down this position by now probably have realized that it's going south down below them. So they're going to do something that any tactician and German commander would. They're going to go ahead and relocate some of their assets. Oh, shit! We just got hit by a Russian tank. I'm not sure from where, but it had the range on us. Fire's coming from there somewhere. I can't seem to... Oh, we've got a target right there. I wonder if we lost the entire crew. Probably not. But we'll try and back it up as soon as we... Oh, well, it's gone. It's a gunner. I presume I am responsible for the loss of that tank by moving it. But perhaps the Russians had it in its sights already. We know that the AI is going to be doing a lot of tank movement in general. We're still holding this side of the river, though. We've got some German soldiers held down over here. Opening fire at the Russians trying to cross. They haven't really made any major commitments to crossing the railroad tracks yet. They're getting shot down on the bridge, mostly. How's it looking down here? Still no major attempts at getting across. We've got a few German soldiers remaining. Lots of Russian infantry that's just been slaughtered. Looking at the minimap, clearly down... Oh, well, there it is. I was correct. The Russians were indeed responsible themselves for the loss of that Panther. It would have moved up sooner or later, but then again, perhaps it could have survived if it was stationary and ready to engage the enemy. But that is what happens. I did something that I thought was going to be in the greater good for the Germans in their defense here of this side of the railroad tracks, but I ended up doing them a bear favor. We call it a bear favor in Sweden, when you try and be kind and do someone a favor, but it's actually in their disadvantage. Anyway. Russian tank cannot seem to move down here, which is understandable. Lots of Russian casualties on this side. Here's another tank that's been disabled, possibly to a Panzerschreck or a Panzerfaust. Perhaps even a Pak-40. More Russian troops around the bridge. They don't seem to be committing any major troops to crossing it yet. They know that the Germans down here are going to be holding that pretty harshly. We've got some more German troops here by the railroad tracks. They must have been down there for a while. I think to them, they're not going to try and cross up here because that's going to put them in range of all the Russian infantry on the side. If you move in this area, you're doomed to get shot. So we'll see how they do about that. More Russian tanks moving around up here. One of the tanks have got itself unstuck from the trench. One is down over here. Generally, not too much infantry support in that sector right now. Alright, I'm going to do something in the favor of the Russians right now. If I can control it, that is. There we go. We're going to be sending the tanks up towards the bridge, where they will do some good. If I'm going to control the Germans, then I should of course give the Russians a helping hand too when their tanks start derping out. Let's see if we can't get across here. Alright. Clearly a little difficult. There we go, that should have opened it up nicely. And we are in the free. Got one tank coming down here. Oh! Panzerschreck shot did not hit. One of the tanks is going to be positioning itself here now for infantry support. Perhaps now with the support of this tank, the Russians will be eager to cross the railroad tracks. They've got plenty of troops to send over. If I was the Russian tank commander of this tank, I'd be a little careful because there's a pack right here, and it's lucky that it hasn't been hit by it yet, along with the fact that there's a Panzerschreck team right here that's going to be doing their best to hit that tank when they can too, so that's interesting. Russian tank moved up here instead. It went back. It's gonna... I don't think it's gonna cross, but it's gonna try and get into a position where it can fire at the enemy. Alright people, I think this battle is starting to calm down. I would personally like to think that the Russians have sort of captured the middle bridge. One could say that it's a bit of a standoff between the two riflemen here from either side. But in order to bring the battle forward, seeing as they have most troops nearby, and definitely a strategical superiority in the Battle of Berlin, we're gonna see what we can do about that. On this side, it's not too clear yet, but the Germans have lost their Panther, and there is a Russian tank roaming around that does not seem to want to go down. So I think we conclude that the Russians, if they got some infantry up here, they'd clean out this trench fairly quickly. Crossing the bridge will be a different trouble and task, however. But we'll see about that. More infantry is coming up here to the wall, trying to fire at some of the Germans. I think it's safe to say that it's definitely calmed down due to the tremendous losses on both sides. There's simply not as much firepower on the map anymore. And I think we can conclude that this part has been entertaining, and I think it's about time to wrap it up. In part 6 tomorrow, we're going to witness the next assault across the bridge. And I think I'll leave the German positions as we see them on this side for now, simply because of the fact that they seem to be mostly fine and alive, so it's only logical if I do. But we're going to relaunch the Russian attack from right about this main street here. That should prove to be pretty damn cool. And we'll see them actually take the bridges tomorrow. Hopefully that will be to everyone's consent and appreciation. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys soon again. Bye.